Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, you're in Austin.
Yeah.
Fun.
How's the group going?
They're great.
Yeah.
They just did all their presentations.
They just finished them?
Yep, their project presentations.
Are they amazing? Because that was an amazing group.
They were. They
Yeah.
were really pretty good. There was one couple that were very, very good.
Yeah, they came in as professionals. They really did.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the New York group.
Yeah.
A year long. Yeah, we're just finishing with them.
How many students are there?
There's 5.
Okay.
And 4 are definitely going to finish. One is going to take a little extra time. But
Great.
okay.
I'm glad she's still considering to finish.
Yeah, she wants to. She's determined. So I think she will. Yeah, so how's Austin?
It's 50s today. It's crazy,
Oh.
but Austin's great. I was really glad to get home. So I think I did the right thing.
Right.
But Austin is amazing. I can show you downtown if you want.
You're getting some things going there?
Oh yeah, so I'm starting a course, a training course in somatic movement education at the community college. It's 500 hour, and it's looking like it's going to happen. I'm trying to show you my downtown view.
Oh, nice.
It definitely a downtown Austin. It's almost like Brooklyn. It really is. I think everybody who left Brooklyn comes here.
Mm-hmm.
I just was visiting Austin last month with my mom, and it definitely felt that way.
Yeah. We'll reach out next time you're in town.
I will.
If you end up.
Now that I know you're there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a central location.
Looks like a pretty cool little loft you got there. Multi-level, yeah.
It's 3 levels.
Okay.
Nice.
And Stephanie, who I can't see your face, but hello, welcome.
Kat McGuire here.
Hi, Kat.
Oh, I remember Stephanie.
Hi.
Stephanie, did I meet you at Deborah Hayes' workshop last year?
Stephanie, hello.
I don't know.
She's not functioning yet.
Okay.
Give her a sec.
Give it maybe another couple minutes for people to figure out how to get in here, and then we'll start.
Yeah, starting a couple minutes late is usually good for the first one.
Well, that's the way parties go. Everybody's late.
Oh, you know, we're right on time. All right.
So we are recording already. So if you don't want to be on the recording, you should turn off your video. And once we do actually start, once I start welcoming everybody, we're going to ask everybody to mute, except for the people who are speaking.
Hello, Diane. Where's your face? There you go.
Stephanie is in here twice.
I'm trying to unmute people, Karen. I'm a little stuck.
You're trying to mute?
The button's not working.
Oh. You're trying to mute or unmute?
Unmute. I want to.
Oh.
There we go. Good. Hi, Diane.
Hello.
Now I can hear you.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
And Amy Laveres just showed up. I think.
Yeah, people are just, you know, it takes a minute to figure out where the camera is. So.
Cool. I'm just concerned about these 2 from Stephanie. But.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
How do we get everybody in the little box?
If you, there's
Arrow button.
different modes on the top right corner, and you can do speaker mode or you can do a mosaic mode. And if you click on the mosaic mode, you can see everyone at once.
We'll do that at some point and take a picture.
Okay.
So we're all, everyone here so far is a CMA, yes?
Yeah.
I don't know about
Not me.
Stephanie that is. I don't know which Stephanie.
Oh, here's everybody. Yay.
Good.
Kat McGuire, can you hear me?
I can.
Did we meet at Deborah Hayes' workshop last year?
Nope.
No, okay. All right.
Unless I have an alternate personality that was there,
You might have a doppelganger.
probably.
All right.
Hey, we're going to
She's in
start.
Austin, isn't she, Deborah Hay?
What's that?
Well, she's in Austin now, right?
Yeah. She's been here since the 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just me or I lost Amy?
We all lost Amy. She's probably figuring out how to get her audio functioning.
Okay.
This seems to be the last step for everyone, so. She'll come back. Karen, you want to start?
Yep, I'm going to start.
Great. I'm going to put everyone on mute.
Okay. Just don't put me on mute. Okay. All right, so here's how this is going to go. I'm going to welcome everybody. So welcome. You're all muted now. We will unmute, or you can unmute yourself by clicking on the little microphone icon. But we're going to ask you to stay muted unless you're a speaker. And I will be the one who will be announcing who the speakers are. There's also a chat feature over here on the side. If you can, or on the bottom, if you look down on the bottom, there's a little bubble with dots in it that says chat. And so there's an opportunity there to post a question in the chat box, and you can post it to everyone. That's one of the options. Or you can post it to any particular person privately. So you can actually have a side function that nobody will ever know about. So I am recording this. If you do not wish to be on the recording, you need to both mute and turn your camera off. So we're going to start with John Chanik. So we will unmute John, and John's going to take a few minutes to talk about the programs that he manages, and he's also going to talk about himself and the work that he's been doing with the Laban Bartenieff work. So John, can you take it away?
Unmuted? I am unmuted, yes? Yes, okay. I am the coordinator of the year-long program in New York City, and I've done that for quite a while. Cheryl Clark and I are also coordinating a program in Taiwan that just started. We have we're just graduating our year-long class, and 5 students. Some really interesting, inspiring presentations happened this week, varying from how astronauts deal with being in space to the technique, the amazing technique behind playing a flute that a musician in our class talked about. And what I find so great about these programs is I always see about 2/3 of the way through this big transformation that happens in people. And that came out in their presentations. They were clear, they stated what they were going to do, they did it, their intentions were clear, they moved well, they did some very subtle, detailed observation work, and they were able to describe what was observation and what was their interpretation from it. So I was really proud, and it was really inspiring to see how LMA is used and changes people. It transforms people. That's just, I think that's the biggest thing the biggest benefit of this program is, I think, is the transformation that people make when they're doing it. both in their movement and the way they relate to the world and the way they relate to each other and present each other, etc. So we have a year-long program starting next September and running September 3rd through May 17th here in New York City and Brooklyn. And then we have 2 modular programs starting even sooner in June, like my dates, June 3rd through 18th for Module 1, and June 23rd through July 7th for Module 2. And those are coordinated by Cheryl Clark. And we are compiling a stellar faculty for that program right now. So anyway, encourage people to ask us and inquire and think about this program. Because in what I've done in my work through 30 years of being a CMA is many things and work with many different populations. And that's because movement is the basis of everything. And so it's enabled me to work with a lot of different populations of people. And everything from working with dancers and professional dance students who are coping with issues with their body and wanting to be able to dance and work well. I've worked with, quote, pedestrians or lay people who have avid interests such as skiing or tennis or horseback riding, most things that I haven't done, but because of my movement analysis, I can work with them and I can coach them and help them improve what they're doing. I've also worked a lot in the last number of years. I've had a lot of clients actually for a long time, 20, 25 years. So we're growing old together and dealing with the changes that happen as we all get older and wanting to keep moving and keep functioning and being able to do the things we want to do. So in working with elderly people, I have really, it becomes so apparent how fundamental fundamentals are in regards to the 10 fundamentals. If you want to keep functioning and being able to be independent, those basic patterns, those basic 6 movements and their variations are critical. And use it or lose it is totally true. I've felt it myself, I've seen it in clients, and the more you keep these patterns going, the more they can keep doing what they want to do. And that's been pretty inspiring just to see even the simplicity of the basic 6 and how much they enable people to do. And we all want to keep going, at least I think we do, and I do, and I want to keep doing everything I want to do, and this is going to really enable me to do that. And if people have questions, you know, I've worked with different populations, I've applied this in many different settings. So feel free to contact me and ask me any of that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, John. So we're going to move to Tony now to talk about the China program. So, Tony.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Tony Zhou, and nice to say old friends and my classmates, and also there are some new people I haven't met yet. So I'm co-founder of Inspiration Institute in China. I'm CMA and a PhD in biomedical science, and I'm also trained as a dance movement therapist. And I graduated from LIMS program in Belgium, actually, in 2016. And Amy is my classmate, and I meet other people also in Belgium as well. And my research project was to how to use RBMS for the volleyball training to improve their performance and also reduce their injuries. And I found LIMS program is very well established and rigorous, and we have a lot of experts and also master teachers on the faculty, and Karen Bradley and Karen Stad and also Kat McGuire. They are all my teachers in the Belgium program, and I really learned a lot from them. And it was very intense, and also very demanding. And I also personally met quite some resistance of myself and during the training. And it's really a life-changing training. So I really recommend this program to my colleagues. And for us, for Inspiris, we are very dedicated to Labang work. And also, of course, dance movement therapy by bringing the high quality program to China. And in 2016, we started the first certification program with LIMS in China and Asia. And then in 2017, we co-developed the first webinar series with LIMS, and we have quite some people on board to discuss, to share their knowledge about the application of Labang RBMS in different fields. And at this moment, the China program, we have two cohorts, and Kat and Karen start their coordinator and also the teacher on the faculty. And so for the first cohorts, we have roughly 10 students who will get finished this summer, and they will become the first batch of CMAs in China. And we're very proud of that. And we get the second cohort with about 15 students in training. And so very, very hardworking students. And maybe later on, Kat can talk a little about her experience in teaching in China. And well, the China program is very, I would say it's international, because we have the master teachers from LIMS, and we have the students and the applicants and from China, but also actually from other countries, like we have students from Israel and Australia join us, and we even got the applicants from US and Europe. I think they are also very interested to get some experience in China. And so we very much welcome you to join our China program. And I'm sure that you will get a very nice, unique China experience. And talk a little bit about my own work. And what I use mainly for the Labang, and also mainly Labang for high functioning people. Even though sometimes we work with children with special needs, and I see my work in the future mainly work with sportsmen who really want to realize their potentials on the sport fields. And I found that's a very interesting population to work with. And a lot of time they're very much focused on the functions, and they haven't really realized the values of expressive side of the movement. So I try to help them and support their further development. And also for myself, I feel that this learning is a really lifelong process, and really hope to come back to the learning community and the group and the class, and to learn from all of you. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Tony. So I am going to now share my screen, because Rachel Sahor, who is running the Israel program, is about to, has sent us a video. So hang on, let me see if you can all see this. You see this mess?
Great mess.
Good. And here we have Rachel. So I need to know, you need to nod if you can hear it. Sometimes the audio doesn't work as well. So let me just make sure that you can see and hear Rachel. First of all, can everybody see her? Good. All right, let's see if we can hear her.
Hello, my name is Rachel Kalnick-Zahor, and I am the coordinator for LIMS certification program in Israel. I'm joining the cocktail party with a pre-recorded message because I'm teaching all day at the University of Illinois in Chicago on Friday. The beverage of choice is tea, and I say hello to everybody there. Let me tell you a little bit about our program in Israel. This summer, Module 1 will begin July 11th, and it's a very exciting time for us because in addition to Module 1, the World Congress on Movement and Cognition will be taking place walking distance from Kingston College, which is where our program will take place, also walking distance from the beach, from the train station, from beautiful weather, from a terrific nightlife, great food, and wonderful arts that all take place in Tel Aviv. Let me tell you a little bit about our program. Our application deadline is May 15th. That's very soon. But we do have room in the program and will accept late applications. So if there is room in the program and your application comes in, we will definitely take a look at it. What can I tell you about our program and why it's unique? First of all, we have some terrific faculty. I'll start with my colleague Karen Studd, who was my teacher and is a mentor and who co-coordinates with me any module in which she comes to, and especially modules where I can't be there. And Karen is a theorist and a mover, and she continues to write and develop the Laban-Bartanian movement system. And so the modules in which she teaches are a terrific laboratory for us to be not only learning about the system, but also contributing to its development. In addition to myself, Joanna Brotman, who is both an artist and a choreographer and an educator, is on core faculty in the summers. And we have two core faculty members in Israel. That is Milka Leon, who is both a CMA and a graduate of the Laban London, where she studied and assisted for Valerie Preston. She is a choreographer, she is an educator, and she also trains different therapists using the Laban-Bartanian system. And Halsa Kut, who is a CMA graduate program, therapist, formerly as an artist. I theater movement educator. I train actors at the University of Illinois Chicago. Using the Laban-Bartanian movement system for embodied presence and physical characterization, and to devise movement and to create and make theater. I also at UIC am part of a grant with the College of Education where we have funding to use movement and drama to teach science processes to children in elementary schools and Chicago school system. In fact, we have 90 students coming on May 15th to UIC to share their young people science theater. In the sciences, it's been my privilege to work with Dr. Tal Shafir, who will soon be a CMA, exploring using the Laban system to explore connections between emotions and movement. Now we have a grant from the Marion Chase Foundation to investigate associations between movement and personality. And we also have been looking at publishing in psychology and in neuroscience how to use the Laban-Bartanian movement system in a sophisticated way using CMA certified movement analysts to help not just study what is easy to study in movement, but what is significant. Most of my publications are available in open access, so this can be downloaded, and what we're finding is that when the publications are out there, people are using them, referring to them. The field is growing. It's very exciting to take part at this time. time, our LIMS programs are training and deepening our understanding of movement and why it matters all over the world. I am very grateful to be part of this growing community. We invite you.
So I'm going to stop there. The rest of it is a repeat of what she had said earlier. So we will do that. I can stop the share. So next. Yes, Claire, you need to mute.
Sorry, what?
Mute.
Mute who?
You. Yourself.
Oh.
We can hear you. All right. Okay. All right. So moving along here. I don't know if Si-hyun can turn on her computer, her video camera, just so you can all say, if she can say hello, but Si-hyun is here. So Si-hyun, can you unmute and turn on your video just to say hello? Si-hyun is the new Director of Education at LIMS, and she's been on the job for about 4 or 5 months now. And so it's been a journey for her, and but we're so happy she's doing this work. It's really great. So I don't know if you can, Si-hyun. Don't worry if you can't.
Hello, everyone. This is Si-hyun. Nice to meet you all. I know you cannot see me, and actually I cannot see you either. I don't know what's wrong with my computer today, but thank you for joining this cocktail party, and hopefully we can inform other people how this work is great.
And I would say if you are watching this on the recording and are interested in following up with Si-hyun, I guess you could share the email address.
Yeah, if any of you who is interested in applying the certification program at the Laban Institute, please email me at education@labaninstitute.org. Then I will send you the application materials and also other information to apply for the certification program.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have Toranika Washington, and I will unmute Toranika. Take it away.
Hello. It's so exciting to be here, to see everyone. And I mean, I have Tony that was in my cohort from Belgium, John who taught me, hey, and Karen who I love, my mentor and advisor. And then there's other people on here. I'm sorry if I missed you. I'm just excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. And so I graduated from LIMS, New York in 2015. So I'm still a young wizard in Laban, and super excited about what Laban and Bartenieff has done for me and how my career has like really blossomed. So I've moved out of teaching K through 12 when I was in the training program at New York, and I also did Belgium, of course, I mentioned that, and Maryland. I was working K through 12, so I was utilizing the work there with my students. I'm a dance teacher. And then once I graduated, received my MFA, I had the opportunity to teach a Laban class at New World School of the Arts College in Miami. And went ahead and jumped on that and that opportunity to work with dancers and to work with actors, teaching movement in Laban. I also teach at University of Miami, so I'm working with students there and teaching technique, jazz, and modern, but of course incorporating the Bartenieff work in all the warm-ups. So they're getting all of that there and understanding their body from the inside out and how it moves more effectively in space. I've moved on to start my own business called Somatic Soul Food, where I help individuals and I work with, which is super exciting. I work with corporate America, which that fell into that. So I have an ongoing contract with Coca-Cola, and the first workshop that I did with them was igniting creativity. And then so I'm going back this summer in June to do another workshop with them on embodied leadership. So it's really interesting to see corporate America on the floor, because I get them on the floor. They're moving around in their suits and with balloons and toys, and I bring in Play-Doh and all kinds of things. But the work of Laban has really, and Bartenieff has really changed my life. It's made me a more effective human, I feel. And I understand people on a different level. I really believe in the work. I think the work is evolutionary. I jump in and it's so much to learn, and it keeps changing. And of course we keep changing and evolving as well. And I'm addicted to it. And I really enjoy learning more and diving in and figuring things out on how we can be more effective humans, and how we can move and flow in space together, and the understanding of each other in different cultures. And that's just ways that it's helped me. And I just really appreciate it. What else can I tell you? I think that's it. I just recommend that everyone try it. Just go in and try, do the introductory weekend program. I did that with John. And then also with John in New York. I love you. And yeah, just try it and see if it's something that works for you. I'm pretty sure it will. You'll learn a lot about yourself, a lot about others, and a lot about how to approach people in a much better way, especially resilience. That's good too. Thank you.
Thank you, Taranika. Thank you. And I just want to keep reminding everybody who's watching this and everybody who's here that the way to get more information is to go to our website, labaninstitute.org, and under education, we pull down their certification programs. All of our current certification programs are listed there. New York modular, New York year-long, Israel, China, Taiwan, they're all there with contact information about how to contact the people who are in charge of those programs. And of course, you can always email Si-Hyun at education@labaninstitute.org. We also have a forum there. So if you go to the website and you register for the forums, you will be placed into the appropriate forum. Each of our student groups has their own forum, and then there's a shared forum where we post all kinds of exciting things like articles written by Irmgard Bartenieff, etc. There's a CMA's forum, there's a Laban Institute members forum, and there's a CMA/members forum that's all about doing research and sharing research ideas. So go to the website labaninstitute.org and register, and it takes a few days to get you into the right particular configuration of forums, but then you have access to all kinds of things, all kinds of issues. So thank you. So we are going to shift now to Amy Leviers, and I'm going to unmute Amy. I thought I did. Unmute. There. Okay, go
Great.
Amy.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me here, Karen. And I'm excited to see everyone, many familiar faces on the call as well. My drink of choice this morning is coffee. But so I think my role here is just to share how I use the Laban work in my job, in my profession, as well as, I suppose, in my personal life. My project that I completed it with my CMA, I graduated in 2016, sort of mixed my personal and professional worlds a little bit and kind of helped me navigate the balance between those two, I think. I did a project on cooking dinner every night with my husband, and I looked a lot at, you know, how that routine is part of my personal life, but I also looked a lot at how the tools and gadgets that we use in the kitchen support that practice, which leads to what I do as a profession, which is as an engineering professor at the University of Illinois. I run a robotics lab called the Robotics Automation and Dance Lab. And getting my CMA has been part of the work that I've done to build that group. And so in my CMA work and in my the Laban lens that I bring to robotics, I think about these machines as tools, and as tools that move with us, and as tools whose movement we get to decide and design. And we talk a lot about, and I've heard it come up on the call already, this interplay between function and expression. I think Tony mentioned his work in trying to get volleyball players to appreciate the role of expression in their sports practice. I do a lot of that in robotics and trying to help people understand the role, the fact that these machines are already quite expressive, where we see them and we interpret quite a lot. And so how do we enable a palette of more broad options of what these machines might impart to human viewers, and how do we create machines that human viewers understand the internal state of the system is a big thing that my group works on. So I think about how movement encodes information, and truly, you know, the Laban work provides this, yes, qualitative, but also quantitative lens through which to notice movement, to name movement, to see what's going on, both in humans and in machines, and in navigating the potential imitation between the two. So it's really the center of my group, and I think a couple students maybe on the call today or are certainly going to listen to this recording later, because it's something that I try. Hopefully, eventually, the Rad Lab will have more and more CMAs associated with it than the ones we already have. Should I add anything else, Karen? Is that?
I don't know. I'm glad that you talked about your project because it was so great. And
you were my advisor.
Right. I just want to say that it actually was quite effective. That the videos at the beginning of Amy and her husband cooking together and the videos of Amy and her husband cooking together at the end are different.
Yeah.
You want to say anything about that?
They are different. And, you know, I showed them to my group, to my robotics group. And I, at the end of the project, sort of gave them a little bit of a taste of what I had been working on in Belgium. And they saw the difference too, of course, but they struggle to verbalize or even name or pinpoint or describe what that difference is, right? And that's what the Laban training really gives you, is the ability to look at those two videos. The frantic, I mean, both of them are successful, right? We cooked the dinner in both cases, but the emotions around it and the facilitation of winding down at the end of the day instead of winding up even more to get dinner on the table, which I think is a common experience that many people can relate to. To be able to name what the differences are and to be able to point to mechanisms in what I did to prepare for cooking and how those manifest in the behaviors that you see on the videos in the after portion is something that is just not taught anywhere except the Laban Institute that I know of.
Thanks. That's great. All right, so our other two presenters today aren't going to be here for a few more minutes, so I thought I'd open it up to unmute people and have people ask questions. So if you have a question or a story to tell, if you're a CMA, anything that you want to share about the program, keep in mind that this is being recorded, and so hopefully many prospective students also will come and watch it later today, and in the next few days. So if anybody has anything that they want to jump in with, I know Kat, you might say something. Carmen, yes, Carmen.
Well, I want to echo a few things, particularly what Tony said about the lifelong learning process and the fact that I got my CMA a very, very long time ago, 1983, And that's back when I met Karen Bradley. And I've been working with this material for over 30 years now, and very seriously teaching it in the certification programs for about the last 10 years. And I am constantly amazed with how much keeps changing and how much I keep learning and how many different insights I continue to have. I think, Tornika, you were sort of suggesting that same kind of thing, this ever evolving. And it has been fascinating. And my work with Amy has just been tremendous in enlarging my own understanding of the LBMS system in ways that it is meaningful and useful in our life. So for any of you students who are watching this, I would encourage you to really consider this training, because it is a lifelong experience, and I'm a full testament to that. This is basically what I've been doing for most of my adult life, in addition to my dance career and other things. But it keeps on giving, and it keeps on remaining exciting. And then you get to meet great people like Amy, who I now have a whole world that I never knew before open to me through the connection of the LBMS material. That's how that connection was made. So anyway, it's been a privilege also to work with Tony in China, and I just want to say that also has been an extraordinary experience of not only teaching the material, you know, to prospective CMAs, but utilizing the material in the process of teaching them in order to bridge the cultural differences and most profoundly the language differences, and working through translation, and so actually using the material itself in the process of teaching the material itself. So all these things just continue to be thrilling and exciting experiences. And again, I would encourage anyone to jump in and get this material. It is life-changing and lifelong endeavor.
Thanks, Kat. Diane, did you want to say something?
Reflect on what I did. I finished the program in '82, the year long. And what I'm working on right now is a different approach to understanding the body as an anatomical thing. I'm looking at the deep architecture of the body, and I'm looking at biotensegrity. Both of these are ways of seeing how we are built from within, because what we see bones and muscles, joints, joints moving, and I've always thought there's got to be more to this. And yes, intention starts the movement, always, and all of that, but I had to understand what the deep picture was, and that's what I've been working on. So I'm studying that, and I'm thinking about Bartenieff fundamentals for the 21st century. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you so much. Carmen, do you want to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so first of all, it's great to see again John, my teacher in New York in 2006-7, something like that, a long time ago. I love you. Good to see Karen too, Taranika and Amy. I love your robots. I always see them on the web. I love them. Okay, so for the people who don't know me, I'm a CMA, New York 2007. I'm a master in performing arts. I have been music teacher for a long time, and now, after my graduation in New York, I came back to Spain and I worked 3 years at the university, at the dance university. But finally I left the university and I came back to the music. And these 4 or 5 last years, I have been keeping with the music. And I went to Belgium to reconnect again with the material, with the 2 Karens and with more people. And I have been teaching this these years, I have been teaching yoga and somatics and BF all together, my own classes. And in March, by a chain of chances, casualties, I taught 3 workshops for teachers about education, movement, and health. And finally, I taught some mix of BF and LMA, and all of them were very, very happy. So they asked me for a website, and I'm creating, I'm with it. And next year, I will start teaching some short intros in different points in Spain. Barcelona, Orense, that is in the northwest, Madrid too. So it's very, very small seed, but it starts to blossom, something like that. Because I'm the only one here, so it's hard. But yeah, I would like to go back to New York to refresh. Maybe I go for a month or something like that. Yeah. So this is what I'm doing. People in the workshops have felt very, very happy after doing BF that they didn't know at all, developmental movement, some very simple space sequence, they didn't know. And they have been surprised by the sensations, how the body is different. They have felt everything different. So this is the main thing. So this is what I'm doing now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Susan, Barrett, you want to say something about your work? Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I hadn't thought about what I was going to say, but sure. I'm based in Nova Scotia, Canada, and I've been here. I did my training in Montreal. It's through an extension program, and in '96, I know that only because I recently pulled out my LIM certificate to see the date. It feels like a very long time ago now. And I'm trained as a dancer. I work right now with actors at a university, in a university setting. And I find that I've always been around the theater and actors, and I find the way that dance and theater intersect is really interesting. And I feel like right now, dance is becoming more theatrical and theater is becoming more movement oriented. There's a lot of blending. And so it's a really interesting time to be working that way. And I haven't been doing a lot of dancing myself, but I'm feeling, even at my advanced age, I'm feeling like getting back to it, because the few times I get to dance lately, it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I've kind of done a whole bunch of things especially since I've been in Nova Scotia. I've done professional development workshops for people teaching dance or theater in high schools. And I've done some work with Karen. We did some intensive sort of intro training for people in LMA and BF. And I wish I could do more. The having a full-time university job is a little tricky that way. But right now, for fun, I'm studying tango. And one of my teachers is a big Laban Bartenia fan. And she's really wants me to start doing some of applying the BF and LMA principles to dancing tango. Because, you get people who literally walking off the street, they've never danced before, let alone thought about their bodies or, and tango has so many parts to it. You have to have body awareness. You have to stay on your center and keep your balance. And you want to be elegant, you need to have extension in your limbs, and you also are in contact. So then you need to understand shape and shaping. And so it's very, very complex. And for most people, it's like, and it takes so long to even get anywhere close. And so I'm really interested in that kind of thing, and we're just working with lay people with this work. So that's sort of my next step, probably. Here, developing the work for, average, just people off the street who need to know more to do what they want to do. And a little bit of work with seniors, not a lot. I'm still terrified by that for some reason. But But I'm about to go spend a bunch of time with my mother who's recovering from a hip replacement operation. I'm going to get her moving because she needs to get her strength back. So I am really grateful for these tools, and I feel like they should show up all the time whenever I need them. It's just, wonderful. I think that's all for me. But nice to meet you all. A lot of you I haven't met before. I've seen your names online. I've met Tony and Tornika in Belgium, but apart from that, I think, and of course, Karen and Richard, but apart from that, your names without faces. So.
I would also, can you talk a little bit about, we've been working on global water dances as well.
Oh, yes, I can talk about that. That's another LIMS initiative. So here in Nova Scotia, we're working on a project around, well, there's two things going on. But one was our focus last time. Alton Gas is, we focused on the last time around, want to store gas in underground caverns, and they want to flush salt out and pour it into a pristine river on the Mi'kmaq territory. So obviously the grandmothers are protesting that and trying to stop it. And so we supported that last time, and we still are, obviously. But there's also, in the northern part of Nova Scotia, a town called Pictou, there is a pulp mill that has been, making a mess of the harbor and stinking up the harbor for years. And they are sort of asking for more time and more time and more time to do the cleanup that they have been legislated to do. And they, and so there's a real pushback to say, no. You can't have any more time. And also, what they say they're going to do doesn't seem to be adequate. So anyway, we've decided to do I think, is that right, Karen? I don't feel like I'm not sure that I represent it very well, but so we're going to do global water dances up there. And again, hopefully there's another First Nations community up in the Pictou Landing, just across the harbor from where this is all happening. And so, in consultation with them, we're trying to have global water dances on the pier in Pictou this year. And we have the same choreographer both times, Liliana Corman, who has already got ties with the community. And she is a really interesting choreographer. She's an activist and choreographer, and sort of grew up in Ghana and then in Europe, and then studied in the US, and now she's here. So she's a dancer and activist and actor and singer, all kinds of things. So she's great. She's going to do our section two.
Yeah, just to tell everybody a little bit more about global water dances, the next one that we're doing is on June 15th of this year, and there is a website, globalwaterdances.org, if you want to know more about that. But there are over 160 sites around the world now that are doing it. And on the same, oh, Carmen, you're doing it? Oh, good. Just to tell you the origins of it, was a group of CMAs, and Richard, who's on this, who got together at Schumacher College in England, in Totnes, Dartington, Southwest England, in 2008, and we did a 3-day exploration of Laban's work and environmental work. And I don't know if you know this, but towards the end of his life, Laban was an activist in terms of the environment. He was very much a believer in the Gaia religion, and very much concerned about the world. And so this Global Water Dances project came out of that, and it's every other year. And this is our 5th in June. And it's based on the idea of movement choir, and in particular, what Susan and Liliana and I are creating here is really taking a very hard look at environmental racism, which is the fact that all of these industries are springing up near First Nations people. And of course, the First Nations people are not happy about that, but don't feel powerful enough at this point. Although messing with those grandmothers is at their peril. Yeah, Susan, if you want to say anything.
You don't want to mess with those grandmothers. Those women are very powerful and determined. They just recently, 3 of them were arrested a few weeks back because they would not leave. They were put in jail, and there was such a big protest that they were out within a number of hours. People were not going to stand for these, elders being put in jail for I mean, in terms of law, they have legal right on that territory, which it gets kind of glossed over and ignored. So it's frustrating, but it's very interesting.
The global problem.
Yeah.
All right, Ellen Bartel, do you want to say anything? You're unmuted.
Oh, I'm unmuted. Okay. Well, like Susan, I wasn't really prepared to say anything, but I received my CMA just this past June, so it's going to be a year next month. So my application of the whole system and the whole philosophy is very new, but I'm very inclined to start teaching it because that will help me to continue to learn myself. I mean, one of the favorite things that I enjoy about this whole process is the community that's around it and the community that it builds. And I don't want to let that go. So what I have done is I'm starting a somatic movement education certification course at the Austin Community College through their workforce program, the 500 hours, and it will be a Laban Bartenieff based course. And if somebody takes this course, you should be able to, or you will be able to get the prereqs out of the way to become a CMA. So I'm hoping that it being in Austin, since there's nothing like this around in this part of the country, that we can start to have a little bit of excitement about CMA and Laban and movement analysis and its application, and sort of start spreading it around the globe that way. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. If we're at like 90%, the course is going to happen in the fall, and if it does, after the first year, to see its impact. And I really feel like it potentially can diversify who is getting CMAs, because Texas, and especially Central Texas, has a really diverse population, and especially community college has a diverse population. A lot of courses like this are for more privileged people, and they're embedded in higher education. So like if you're in a master's degree program in a dance department, you might be able to get a certification like this, but I have a strong desire to bring it a little bit to a more equal level and have all kinds of people want to pursue this, and can afford it. The other thing that I do is I also bring Bartenieff floor and floor bar class to the Austin community, which also doesn't exist here. So I always invite people to roll around on the floor with me for an hour, one time a week. And, I'm no longer getting my dance friends coming. I am seeing new faces. There's a lot of, like, here in town, there's a lot of circus art, a lot of aerialism, a lot of kind of campy theater scene. So these people want to get more in better touch with their bodies and be able to express their art form in their way. And so I'm finding I'm getting a different population of people coming to my classes for this. And I did global water dances a year ago. I didn't do it this year, but I found it to be impactful for this community as well. So that's where I'm at.
I mean, I think there's different levels and layers of the Laban Bartenieff work. There's the very precious, if you will, level of the individual's process, rediscovering their own movement patterns, improving their movement patterns, making them, creating more efficiency, creating more access within the personal And then there's also, you know, an interactive piece, which is how you start to see your partners in the room, or how you start to, or your coworkers, and you start to be able to analyze some of the movement patterns that you share, or that are oppositional, or that support each other, etc. And also you can start to look at, you know, how people behave in groups. You can look at that, and the fact that when people move in a group together, that is in itself empowering. And at the end of that process of moving together, people feel more connected. And there have been several Laban Bartenieff projects on looking at group movement and looking at people who start as very different types of people, but then work together over time. Alan, you might want to jump in and add to that. But I want to say one more thing, which is that, you know, you all remember the Choreometrics project, which, you know, was very, very controversial in the past. And it's being looked at again and updated, and looked at in the context of social justice, and having voices that perhaps were not heard before heard, and beginning to understand some of the perspective, the potential biases in that particular observation and analysis, looking at cultural context, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a lot of ways of understanding movement just within the Laban Bartenieff movement systems. And I think there's more than one going on here, systems that we can talk about, we can share, we can bring to the world. Ellen, what did you want to say?
I wanted to say that not only is there a group connection when something like a movement choir takes place, but also people tend to get connected to the space in which this group connection has happened in. So with Global Water Dancers, when you identify a space that needs attention and you dance there with a group of people, that space is now recharged with that energy and that perspective of all the people who were dancing there and all the people who came there, and even probably residue energy, you know, in the space and everything. So I think it also connects us to where we live and how we live and how we use the space that we're in. And the other thing I wanted to say is that through the Laban Bartenieff experience, I feel like there's an honesty to it, and how you view people and view people's bodies. And because when you analyze, at least the way I understand it, you need to remove your prejudgment and predisposition and really look at what's happening. So there's a moment where when you see something, you step back and try to really take in what's happening, versus just reacting to the moment. So I think there's the nuance of really seeing truth in the body and things like that, or at least potentially, right?
That's great. Anybody else have anything they want to add to this? It's a great conversation.
Can I just add one small anecdote that I thought of listening to Ellen? I live in a housing co-op, and we've been doing interviews for new tenants. And we had this one couple come in, and one of the guys was going, "Oh, I don't know, he just seems too laid back, and I'm not sure how serious he is and whatever." And then, but he said it, and he said, "Oh, he was kind of laid back." And I said, "No, he didn't sit like that though. He was sitting forward with his hands on his knees." And I did that. And everyone went, "Oh, that's really different." And then he didn't make eye contact. And I said, because we were sitting outside and he was facing right into the sun. So he looked down, except when he was directly talking to us, and then he squinted because he had the sun right in his eyes. And I just found it really interesting, you know, that thing that we learn about how we make snap judgments based on what we perceive to be happening in terms of movement. And then to say, well, I didn't see that at all, because what I saw was a guy, you know, first of all, he's a very big man. So he was on a higher chair than the rest of us. So he came down to our level. And then he was trying to not stare straight into the sun. And we actually ended up letting that couple into the co-op. They were our favorites. So, but it was just interesting, you know, hearing this guy make this judgment. And I went, interesting, really? I didn't see that. anyway, that's all.
I'm sure we all got stories like that. John, you want to jump in?
Well, I just wanted to add something, particularly to people considering doing these programs, that when I was in the program in 86, 87, I was a dancer and I was kind of going, what am I going to do with this work? How am I going to use it? And about halfway through the program, I said, let go of that and just be in the process of learning. But what's happened for me, and I think when we listen to everybody here, the answer to that question, what are you going to do with it, is anything and everything. Because movement is everything. And wherever your interests are, you can go with it with movement and apply this work personally, professionally. And the more people that do, I think the better off we'll be. I've often thought too, and said this to students, if we could just teach our politicians and our leaders to shape, how would the world change? Anyway.
And I tell the students if they're dating somebody who doesn't know about shaping, they should rethink.
So basic.
Right, it is. Anybody else have an anecdote or anything that they want to add while we're still waiting for Cecilia and Gila possibly? There's a million stories in the big city, as we say. Well, if you don't mind, then I'll talk about the dance class that I teach. That's all right. Which is called Just Dance. Oh, Susan, you wanted to
I was just going to say, I think I'm going to have to go because I've got a lot more stuff packing to do.
Well, thank you.
But thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I'm missing the rest, but I'm glad I caught what I could. And I know about Karen's dance class, and it's awesome. So I'll just say bye.
She's been there, yes. All right. So this is a little bit about. So Susan, you just leave the meeting. Okay, great. So this is just a class that I teach on Saturday mornings, and it's for the community. And I have a man with Parkinson's in there. I've got some people who've been dealing with Alzheimer's issues. I've got many people with injuries. For some reason, the winter was very hard on everybody's knees and hips in our community. And so we come in and we do breathing, relaxing movement, some Bartania fundamentals on the floor, which is challenging for some, but they do it. We stand up, we start doing movement that is activating, and that can be access to space, that can be effort work, that can be mirroring, a little bit of contact improv, but it's about activating, and it's also about connecting with each other. And we always finish with a group experience. I have an octoband we use, or they have scarves. I have a big blue piece of fabric that we make a river out of, and we work with the idea of water and it flowing along together, etc. And I have to say that it's been a profound learning experience for me as well as for them. It's a way of helping people to navigate trauma, angst, to find grounding, and also to find community with each other. And the map that I use is Laban movement analysis. That's what informs all of this. So it's not rocket science. Anybody can do it. Any of you could do it. But it's really helpful. So Gila is here. I'm going to unmute Gila. And do you want to talk a little bit? We've shown the Rochelle video. Do you want to talk about how anybody who's watching this video might connect with the Israel program?
You hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So in order to get information and register for the Israeli program, we have a website. It's labanisrael.com. And you already heard from Rochelle, I hope, about the cohort. And it is happening in July. It starts July 11th, and it will go on for 3 weeks, but there will be a short intermission in the middle because of the big conference that's going to be happening in Tel Aviv. And I'm happy to answer any questions I don't know what else I can say that Rochelle did not say.
Well, just give any email address or anything that for people to contact, because mostly people are going to be watching this as the recording.
Yeah. Okay, so go to the website labanisrael.com. There is also an English section there. And if you have any emails, you can either reach us through the contact form on the website or write to, I just want to double check that the email, it is, just a minute. So that will be laban.barteniev@gmail.com.
Okay, it's on our website as well, under education.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Do you want to talk a little bit about your own work, Gila?
Well, I will be graduating in the summer, so as Mod 1 will finish, Mod 4B will be finishing as well. Well, as they finish, it will start and end. And I will be presenting my project. My personal project was an educational one. I worked with a group of 8 people from the ecstatic dance community, which is very interesting for me. And it was also for me a great instance of learning about how I teach, which I really have never done before because I come from a totally different background. I am a designer and illustrator in my education, in my profession. And today I'm a chocolate maker and a business person. So, so all of my background really, it gives me a lot of rich addition to what I'm learning with movement. But I must say that my biggest passion is around these studies of movement, more than chocolate. And I just find that it supports everything that I do, from my business to my work on the computer, to communicating through word and of course face-to-face with people. And I love dance and music. So from that place, it gives me a new pathway to take, because I'm not going to be in chocolate forever. And I want to add that I'm 54 years old and I started this work when I was 50. So also it's taken me longer than the regular path, just because I chose to do modules when I could. And it's quite amazing that where I am now, I move better than I have before I started learning, as old as I am.
And we've had, Gretchen Dunn did the program in Maryland when she was in her late 70s.
Wow.
And she's fabulous.
Wow. Well, maybe I can be fabulous too.
I can speak for that. I'm 76 and still going strong. And I just wanted to say, when I spoke a few minutes ago, I got a lot of blank looks, so I thought I'd better say something else. This is a tensegrity icosahedron, and I built it. And what's different from the icosahedrons that we use when we study space harmony is that all of the vertices are solid, and they are, we would say they are compression members, and the joints that connect the vertices are fixed, okay? This is a tensegrity icosahedron. When I smash it, it pops back up. That's us, okay? Now, if these are rubber bands, and they serve to do that pop, okay? Now, I always thought, why, when something goes wrong in the body, don't we just fall down? Why don't we just collapse? This is another model that I have made, and one of its tensile members has collapsed. And this is what happens to us. When the stretchy bits stop working in relationship with the compression bits, that's the bones, we collapse. And when you watch an elderly person with a walker and holding on tight and leaning over it and holding on to it, they are collapsing. They are collapsing like this. See, so when I smash this, nothing much happens. When I smash this one, pop, whoops. Okay, so the liveliness in our bodies is because of this kind of structure. And that is what I'm studying. Just thought you'd like to know.
Thank you, Diane, as always. Very provocative and lots to think about. But one of our favorite things to keep saying is Irmgard's quote, "Change is here to stay." And adapting to change, coping with the environment. I don't think that was a mistake that she chose that particular title for her book, Coping with the Environment. That's what we're doing. We're coping.
Yes.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else have a question or a comment? Pretty much everybody here is a CMA except for Richard Bell, or soon to be a CMA. All right, well, Tony, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I think this is really a nice, learning community. I mean, we become CMA, but we keep on learning. I really enjoy being together with you. And I was thinking maybe once in a while we can get together like this, it's kind of online community, can inform each other and we can learn from each other. I like these ways of learning as well.
And I would, I didn't say this, but Claire is not a CMA. Claire is the office manager for the Laban Bretenieff Institute in New York. Do you have anything you want to say about what you've learned from this experience today? Or just in the office?
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And I was telling a few of you before all of this officially started that occasionally classes happen in this space behind me as I work. And it's always fascinating to hear something that a student said or an observation that a teacher points out about a student's motifing or whatever it is, and realize that sometimes I'm not just the office manager, I'm also a yoga teacher, I'm also a dancer and a choreographer, and have very kind of brushed past it experiences with BF specifically. And I think it's always fascinating to realize, oh wait, that thing that came up in a conversation that was really technical behind me is something that I'm teaching in yoga and I didn't even realize it was related. Or I brushed past it in the dance community and now some student is making an entire presentation about it. I think it's just fascinating that BF and Laban work permeates into everything. And it's like in the things you're learning, even when you're not specifically learning those things. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been realizing and experiencing along the way. I do have a request. Is there some single sentence or even single word, this is my marketing brain going, that you would say to someone who's like, why should I do this? Or why is this important? We have a funny joke in the office that is, you will do you better. But you can't really say that to a person. So my request is there something that immediately pops in your head? Don't take too long to think about it. Why should you study this stuff? Why should this influence your life? Why should you go through the program? If you're talking to me, Claire, you're around it every single day. You teach yoga people. This is why you should do this.
My first response is because it's the map for human movement. And the map is not the territory. So the map, it just identifies some key places within the world of human movement. There are lots of unexplored places in between all of the points that we talk about on the map. And those are fascinating places to hang out in as well. And sometimes language is added to that map. New locations are discovered within the map. But the map is still the map, right? We may find extensions for the map. We may find hidden places within the map, but it's a map. And we navigate that map every day of our lives, whether we realize it or not. All this does is locate where we are at the moment.
I think, can you guys hear me? Okay. It's empowering. So I think having an intelligent body is an empowering act. And so I feel like this knowledge empowers a person in their body intelligence. And therefore it translates into understanding other people's bodies and stuff like that. Or, you know, being able to say, I don't understand what's happening here. You know, it's like, again, it brings me back to the honesty of understanding other people. But it's empowering. That's the word I came up with.
Gila?
So one sentence, a marketing one. Tools for exploration for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay. May I? Yeah. So for me, I'm very curious, and LMA helps me to keep the eyes of my cells open, and I can be curious as I like it. So it's something like that.
Well, like I said before, movement is everything. Movement is dance. And so everyone is a dancer. And I see that in our students who come in as not dancers. They are dancers when they leave. And that's a great thing too, I think. Laban felt everyone should dance. I think he was right.
Who else?
And who's speaking? Sorry. Something that John said earlier about our politicians, and what Carmen just said, wouldn't it be great if we could get them to keep their eyes open? Thanks.
Hear me?
Taranika, are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
Better.
No. Let's see. Can you hear me? Oh, I was
Yes,
gonna
we can
say,
hear you.
like, you can? For me, it's, I would say it's life options. So it gives you an opportunity to see different pathways and different ways to approach everything. Relationships, work, even things like homework, things that have nothing to do with other people, but have to do with making things happen on a daily basis. I don't like going to the dentist. So when I have to sit there and get the x-rays or whatever, I break into everything I know, Bartenief and breath and support to help me get through dealing with what they're doing to me. So instead of sweating to death and crying my eyes out, I go into a sense of meditation. I go into relaxing in the space. I go into grounding myself. It gives you an opportunity to make those no's in your life yeses, or to find a different way to get around things. I have used, if this doesn't sell it, I have used Laban twice in analyzing and observing people to get raises on the job. Twice. That has worked for me just by observing. Huh?
Can you say
just
more
by
about
observing my bosses, and it's just none of my bosses currently. So just in case you're watching, but in the past I have, and it's been very helpful for me.
Can you say a little bit about how you used the LMA work for that? Because I think that anybody watching this would love to know the secret.
It also takes a bit of intuitiveness, of course, but it's not something that happens overnight. I watched and observed one of my bosses for about a little over, maybe about a month before I actually prepared to move in and, for lack of a better word, attack. But it was basically watching her move in space, watching her body language to see when she was light in her effort quality, when she when her face was relaxed, when her eyelids were softened. It was watching her tone of voice, how she slowed down her words, or she'd be very quick with her words. It was the way that she transferred her weight in space when she was walking around up and down the hallways. This all added clarity to me and understanding when this lady was most happiest. That was the goal. When is she most relaxed, most open to receiving information, so that so I could get the raise? And it so happened that it was, for her best time of the day happened to be around 12:30 to 1 o'clock. This was after lunch, and it was typically on Thursdays for her. And so that's what I did. I went in about, I asked for a meeting, and I went in about 12:35, I think it was, because I was making sure. And it worked. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just a brief of some of the things that I actually observed to truly understand her and when she was the most happiest and most open.
That's a great story. It's a great loving story.
Karen and everybody, I would like to just thank you very much for this wonderful hour and a half, and I have to leave the meeting, but let's do another one.
Absolutely, let's keep it going.
Right.
And I believe Cecilia is coming in 5 minutes, so anybody who wants to stick around can do it. Of course, if you have to go, you have to go. Amy already said she was signing off, and she said she loves the idea of empowerment. So that was a good one. But anybody have any other stories? Tony, did you want to jump in here and talk about some of the things that you've discovered?
Well, just, you want to kind of pitch for the LBMS and also program. And I think it's, I've been thinking of course, myself about, the meaning of the life. And I think a lot of us, including me, are chasing about the happiness. But I think that life is not only about the happiness, and it's also about choices and also the freedom to make choices. And I think through the journey and also engage my body and movement, the repatterning, I realize there are more choices to make, and that's really lead to a higher, more degree of freedom. And I think it really, and by moving the body and also repatterning, I feel that I become more alive. Become more alive and feel more freedom to make the choices. And I think that is for me and also for a lot of our students, the bigger benefit.
Kat, you got something?
I'm just echoing mostly what everyone's saying. I think, first of all, this kind of gathering and conversation is incredibly enriching, not only for people who don't know about the material, but for those of us who are engaged in the material, to have this, as Tony was referencing, this kind of peer-to-peer opportunity just to share and explore what we're each doing in our own ways, and how that is so enriching. I think that if I was going to say anything about this in one word or one sentence, it would be the transformational power of movement and the study of movement. And I think that's in some ways, just another version of what Tony just said: choice, freedom, tools, all the things people have said. And to really recognize, I think echoing what Tornika said, that it's in all aspects of life. And what John said, movement is everything. We are movement. And that's our entire experience, is movement. Breath, the basis of life, movement. So that really understanding that the relevance of the material is to all aspects of life because of that.
So I don't know, Claire, is that helpful? Do you have anything?
It's incredibly helpful. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we're gonna, and I'm loving that everyone's loving this so much. Karen and I have definitely been talking about doing more of these. Susan Weisner, who's been doing a lot of our tech stuff, has been talking about doing a podcast. So there's lots of possible things in the works for getting people together and sharing ideas. And I love the idea of doing these every couple months, getting together and chatting and hearing about people's process and what's going on in their work, and always doing the shout out to share, because you're also passionate about it. So yeah, really awesome.
All right, well, thanks everybody. Anybody can leave now, and we're still waiting for Cecilia. She's trying to get on. So I'm just saying, if anybody has anything else to say and they want to hang around for that, that's fine. We're gonna leave this open. You can also come and go.
Bye, Gila.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Somebody's typing.
I will send you the email. I have one for the Laban Space Spain, okay?
Okay, great.
I'm gonna write it here and I will go, okay?
Please put it in the chat, yeah.
Who are you waiting for? Who are you waiting for?
Cecilia Fontanisi.
Oh.
Is she texting you? Is she there?
I texted her. I said, are you coming soon? 10 minutes ago. She said, yes. I was like, all right. Okay. So anybody who, oh good. Laban's.
The other thing, I don't know where Ellen went, but so people know, I'm trying to be a lot more active. Tornika, you've seen this probably just ad nauseum at this point. I'm trying to be a lot more active on our social. We've fallen off the bandwagon of socially connecting with each other, particularly online over the past years. So I'm really trying to make an effort on social to like get ourselves in gear. So if you want to send a little personal testimonial, if you want to shout us out, if you want to like whatever parts of this, maybe just quotes from this meeting will end up in social as well, because I'm trying to get us to reach a larger community and also reach out to each other. So yeah.
And Cecilia's here, yay. So can you talk a little bit about your own work with this material? First of all, introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do.
Hi, I am Cecilia. I just came back from a dance movement therapy session that I run every Friday. So part of my work is dance movement therapy with older adults with Parkinson's and dementia. So I work as a dance therapist mostly with people with dementia. I also have developed a program to use LMA and Shakespeare to work with people with Parkinson's. So we choreograph Shakespeare sonnet with ideas coming from different aspects of Laban's framework. And I'm a researcher. Beside doing therapy, I also do research on both this population, dance for Parkinson's and dance therapy with people with dementia. I use LMA in both research programs I'm running. I am teaching the intro course at LIMS currently in Laban movement analysis. And my dance practice revolves around modern dance improvisation and contact improvisation, partnering work. And I teach here and then contact improvisation using LMA. One of my students is Nancy Ellison, who is also a CMA, and she's one of my contact improvisation students. And so I enjoy having her in class because it's really nice to be able to use LMA with somebody who is an expert at that too. That's it.
And you have a PhD?
Just about. Meeting next week to have my approval that it is good to go. So hopefully a few more months.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. We're going to close this up, and just so you know, the recording will be available probably later this afternoon. It takes a while to wind down and so on, and then we'll post it on the website and on the Facebook page and in the contact list. And but thank you so much, everybody. Just want to remind everybody who's watching this that to go to our website, labaninstitute.org, click on education. Also sign up for the forums if they're under the networking piece, network and community piece, and engage with each other. And we can do more of these. We can do them through the website as well as through Zoom. And let's just keep the conversation and the networking going. Thanks, everybody. Bye.